And welcome to the fourth part of this tutorial. We had as an input a point cloud coming from a laser scan, and we want to make some game-ready asset out of it. And the first part of the workflow was on Cloud Compare, which is another free software that you can find online. And now we are in Blender 2.79, but the workflow is the same in 2.8. Voila. Now, if for now on, I will describe my method that I have to create surfaces on Blender from a point cloud. I'm sure that there are better methods, and but this is mine. So if you have any comment, please leave a comment in the session, and I will be happy to see and to compare the method. How I do with what I want for game ready assets is to get a surface which is continuous, because it doesn't have to have holes of any kind, and it's as much as possible close to the surface that you see here. Now we see that more or less the track, and here is a track for cars, and here you have the grass, and here if you see from certain angle you can see this line which is the end of the track. And then from the other side, here is the end of the track, the entrance of the box, or the exit. I don't know which direction they go with. I'm using the grease pencil to do my marks, and you access from here. You can delete, you can do a lot of things. This is not a tutorial on the grease pencil, so if you have any question, you can Google it. You find tons. So what I do in here to have my surface, I add a plan, and I use a particular setting down here. Of course I imported my point cloud to use it as a hook, so the magnet is activated to points, snap to points, and here by default is the median. That means if you have many points, they will stick to the target, they will snap by the median. It's the point which is in the middle, but for this kind of work is not really efficient, so I put to active. If you have many points, as you see, there is one which is whiter than the other, and if I hit G, basically it will snap, having as a reference point the one that I selected and the one that is active. If I choose median, now we have these 3 points. As you see, it snaps, and the point of snapping is in the middle, so it's not precise at all. If for this kind of work you need something different, so you go for active, and now you are sure that that the snapping will be pretty precise. So I see my line that I marked before. Now I see it less, but if I change G, my point is to have as much as precise as possible the part of the track, and the rest can be quite approximated, not random, because they scanned the whole area to have something reliable that looks really like the place, but we don't need to be crazy precise. There is really no need. So I created a mesh, as you see, a plan. As you see, some of the point cloud is up, some of the point cloud is down. That means that it's not flat. So what I do is I go to edit mode, Control R, and I add first subdivisions, and then I take it up. This is my workflow. Everybody has his workflow. So, as I told before, if you have any better workflow, I will be happy because it will save also time to me for the next time I'm gonna work with this kind of project. So, among the different that I tried, the better to me was go to shrink wrap modifier, select my point cloud. Nothing happened because it's by default it's selected snapping to the nearest surface point, and here we don't have surface, we have just verticals. If you did something in the point cloud software to create a mesh, then you can use this one. Otherwise, you use that other one nearest vertex, then yes, it will recognize the vertex. And as you can see, you start to have something really good. This line, obviously there is a bump because it's higher. Then you see the majority is on the higher part, on the top part, and in the bottom you see almost nothing. So what we do here, we add another loop on this one. I can activate this so I see in real time how it works with the modifier, and then I have these points here that are off, are obviously off. It is not really similar to what is. So I just take this point and I hit G, and I don't move it much. I try to keep the density of my point as regular as possible, but adjust a little with the snapping. I don't need the snapping option here because with the shrink wrap modifier, it automatically snap to the nearest vertex. So I move it also here, and it goes down perfectly. I move it also here. I move it here, and I move it here. Okay, so here we will have something, but for the moment it's okay. Here they are all off because, as you can see, there is the guardrail. So I take them all and I move them a bit, and then I can go independently to look for the rest. I can do it with after. Let's say that this moment the surface is great. There is really the precision is great. I can now at this moment I can double the resolution of my cloud and subdivide. As you will see, it creates again this little artifact, but same way as before. If you did it before in the right way, you can try also going directly to the second resolution. It depends. This is really personal workflow. I prefer to fix every step, and now you see that my surface it has a lot of detail. That means that for the sake of simulation, which was what the customer wants, works pretty well. You can see the distance between the point cloud, the general distance between the point cloud and the mesh is in the order of not even 3 centimeters. That means that it's really good. So, and by the way, the cars will go also in the grass, but the grass is not really super important as the track. Yes, because also when the car goes out of the off-road, it has a lot of turbulence. and it doesn't have grip. So anyway, it will happen a bit of a mess. I anyway suggest to try to stay kind of precise. I select the loop, I extrude. Now I see that it's not working well here. I extrude again, let's say the last one, and then here we can fix the points independently, or you can do like an extrusion. Better do like this. We delete here, and we will do an extrusion later. So now we have this mesh, which is perfect for the simulation. And what I do is apply the I apply the modifier, so I have a mesh which is which can be used for my game. This particular mesh is game ready. So I take here and I go and I try to do this. Now it looks really like a straight line. So I can do it many ways, adjusting point by point. But let's be honest, it's a straight line. So I pick the first, I pick the last, I hit Control, so it select all in a row, and I activate this. You have to activate this part, and I use Loops Tools and G-Stretch. G-Stretch will put in a straight line. Let's extrude it, then we will delete, because sometimes it works only in the point. Voila. It's kind of not working. Sometimes it doesn't work. Let's see. Flatten. So now it worked somehow. Otherwise you can do different ways, like instead here. Now I don't know why it bugs, so it's a good chance to show you something else. I use as a pivot point active element and the normal, because I see that the normal of this plan is kind of good to show me one of the direction. So for example, this Y, so I take out the snapping, Y, but two times. So the second time you push on Y, or the name of any axis, it chooses the set of coordinate that you are using now. Now I'm using normal. So if I hit SY is the global, SYY two time is the normal. And in this case, then I put 0, and as you can see, they are all aligned. So I can take this one here at the point. I watch from the top, and from the active element, I can rotate on the z-axis as z to make it correspond to the line. And you see, now I have the precise line that I wanted, which is the guardrail, or the end of my of the part that will be included. Sometimes it goes super fast and it's hard to regulate precisely, but if you hold shift, it goes way slower, and then yes, you can be precise. For the end of the of here, you can do manually, because you need to fit with the next part. You need to fix in a way that there is no gap at all, because it will mess up the game engine. If you work with game engine assets, and if you want that your characters or anything, your car, your anything, if you want to walk, not jump, walk. And in game simulation, walking and racing car, they are quite the same as if you want the character to be able to walk from one section, from one object to the other. There should be no gap, absolutely. So now you snap as good as possible to the line, and then keeping a reasonable distribution, and then after you will have the other section, and you will snap the point to each other to make sure that there will be no gap, and the simulation will run fantastic. You can also join them and make a lot of things. You can triangulate, there is no problem, because this is a static mesh. The important is that at the end, when you separate the section, the fitting is perfect, so your character can be able to go from one side to another. Here we have a little of excess of geometry, we delete, and this part now is our track, is the section of our track. For the other part of the section, you can add a plan. Now you go, and then you select everything, Alt-M at center, you snap, you use the, in this case you work with snapping, so you might need the precise z-axis, because many of the structure are built vertical, but then if you see, the direction of everything is a mess. So you can do many ways, like for example here, G, I try to get as much precisely as I can this line of the guardrail, and then to have the same height, so SZ0. Okay, the important now is to get the direction, then AZ to have snapping to here. Then now Blender automatically, if I extrude, it extrude along the normals. You see the straight angle. That means that it's a really good reference. If you just extrude, Ctrl N, because all the game assets have back face culling. That means that what's in the back face, you don't see it. In Blender, it's easy to understand if something is its back face. It's darker. You see, there are two shades. This part is more blue and gray. This is just gray. I would say slight yellowish. So this part has wrong normals, because if I want to see from here, it will be transparent in my game engine. And so you can also check the normals. They are not always super visible, so you better, and you see that there are lines coming from the center of your face, or your verticals, depending. And this one is not working, but if I do W, flip normals, it gets. Otherwise, if everything is flipped and it's it's a convex object, Blender recognizes quite easily the normal. So you hit Ctrl N, and it puts the normal in the right way. Another thing that you can do, if you want to have a precise if you want to get this quite precise orientation without having to have a face to get the normals, you can hit here, you can go here, you select one of the face of verticals that in the edges that has good orientation, like this one. You see, all the structure is orientated with this. So what we can do is that we hit spacebar or F3 in 2.8, and we write orientation, and we create orientation. The shortcut is Control Alt Spacebar. Now from here, where we select the orientation, we can choose edges. It's not super precise, as you see, but it has the good direction. So let's try to E twice X. It export the right way. Let's try EX6. Now it mess up. Control Z a lot of time. Select our edge. So now twice X. Well, is messing, as you can see. Sometimes it works, sometimes not really. And this is fantastic because it's a tutorial and it's the moment where it should work, but it doesn't. Maybe because there is an extra? No, not even. So voila, it was 2 times Z. And it's a bit of a mess, but it's not even working. But as you see, the direction is the good one. So let's try SZZ twice. Voila. Shift Z to avoid an orientation. No, it doesn't work. So it's better to work with the normal in this case. In other case, it might work. So if you are in trouble to get in faces that you need to use to extrusion and well orientation, then you can try the other method and see if it works. As you see now, I just extruded along the normals, like with the first method we saw, and I have the basic shape. You surely played any games, and they have these basic shapes. And then you have the bottom part of these, so GZ, because the Z-axis, the global Z-axis is quite precise. You have the other part. It depends what you have what kind of details you need to create. But let's say like this for a game can be quite enough. And as you can see, you have all the poles. If you want to have much more details for the poles, for some reason, you can go back to the point cloud and export just one pole, or one pole per time per type if you have many, and from them rebuild one and use an array modifier. And you will have really an easy build. And then you can modify just one, and they all get updated at the same time, or you can do just a mesh and then link. There are many ways. So now, if we have this, we move it here with M. We have this, we move it here with M. And the last part of the job, we Alt G. Now, before to move my elements, it was better to apply the location. So if I hit Alt G, they go automatically in the position, which is the most precise. But as you see, it's not so bad. And we retrieve twice this with 2 different methods this direction, and it's quite precise. There is a gap of not even 10 centimeters. And since this object, it's all vertical and it has a precise direction, you can just snap G. You can just snap one to each other to close the surface, and it's done. you have your asset, your part of the track ready. So now for this part of the tutorial it's done. If you have any comment or any better workflow, please leave a comment. I will be super happy to answer and to see the way you do. Goodbye.